please ask your questions. Okay. Why? Because after these things is happen, once archives are going to take over that, and if you are not going to any asking question, then it will be have a problem for you, not me. So repeatedly, మీకు 4 సార్లు చెప్పడం జరిగింది. Just make it that.
Hello, hello, hello.
మా ఒకసారి డైరెక్ట్గా ఎక్కడికి వస్తారు కొద్దిగా కామ్గా ఉండండి.
we'll have a good vision from our distinguished guest, Krishnamurthy sir. And similarly, many wishes for our dear students. And this time we are very happy with all our today only we conducted from our kite group of institutions placement felicitations to all our parents. We completed in JNTU VC Vice Chancellor cabin by RK sir, our strong well-wisher, and all our faculty. Similarly, we are very happy with all our academics also. We received good results from 2-1 and 3-1, and best wishes to all our dear children. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir, for all your kind words. Sir, since we have seen the poster that you are taking a session, students are eagerly waiting for you. I don't want to take much time. The stage and the mic is yours. I invite the guest of honor to start the session and make it with you guys.
So, thank you, and the way you have introduced us also is extremely good. I didn't catch your name, but okay, Prasad. Okay. First of all, I got a flair of your institute in the afternoon session with the Honorable Vice Chancellor, where some of your colleagues who are all your seniors, excellent that, or you're all peers, but the way they spoke, and also not only on technical, but also the other extracurricular activities made a lot of difference and impact. I felt very happy. In fact, మీ అందరికి తెలుగు వస్తుంది కాబట్టి ఆనంద బాష్పాలు అలా వచ్చినాయి నాకు. ఓకే, అందులోనూ చాలామంది అమ్మాయిలు వాళ్ళ పేరెంట్స్ వాళ్ళని కష్టపడి చదివించారు. ఓకే, సో అలాంటి ఆపర్చునిటీ చాలా తక్కువ మందికి వస్తుంది. ఓకే, మీ అందరికీ ఈ కాకినాడ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆఫ్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ, ఓకే, మీరు కైట్ అంటారు, నేను కీట్ అని అంటాను, KIT. సో ఈజ్ అన్ ఎక్సలెంట్ ఫెసిలిటీ in this part of the country to give such an opportunity. Congratulations to the principal, Radhakrishna Garu, and Ramakrishna Garu, sorry, and also all his team, the Dean of Research, and also your chairman. I was told about him, and I met his daughter Aishwarya, who are giving so much of importance for the nice environments also. See, we always think environment is the most important thing where you can get ideas. If the environment is not good, even we may want to think, things may not happen. So you have a nice, beautiful green campus, and everything is being taken care. Okay, there'll be small issues whenever you are starting an institute, there's a construction happening, there's one part of it. Now, coming to the topic, because you're all eager to hear many things, and some introduction also has been given. So one part which we have to be very clear in terms of computational science and data science. So in the computational science, we started working on machine learning algorithms way back in 80s itself. Okay, that's when we didn't have the machines in India. In Andhra University, we had machines where we had to work on HCL systems too. But we had a tough time. You had to make a punch card in Andhra University, go to Tilak Road in Secunderabad, with the institute there, and try to process if something is happening in image processing, so we have to come back. But everything on digital algorithms and how to do the process. But it's a tough time when you get your fundamentals very clear, then things will become much easier. And each one, we try to look at images from the satellite of American satellites, data received in US from the same time, because it has an onboard recording facility. So it dumps the data in US, and we also got at NRSA Hyderabad, a receiving station. But the same data, same time, which is received at two different places, the quality is different. That's the first question which we had. And we had to process images and try to show it to the then Madam Gandhi was the Prime Minister, to show why the difference is coming. In this digital world, how we can do many gimmicks from very distantly sitting. And that's where we did our space program, our own program. This all has been done as a research scholar. Silently, a lot of works keep going, which we don't know, which you may not know exactly. But to show as a printout, It's a simple dot matrix printer with a different ribbons, because there's no other thing which you can do. Or take a printout, or on a machine, take an exposure and take. That's the one part of it, means on the screen. And the screen has certain flickers. How do you change that also, that frequency, so that image looks good when you're taking to the highest body? But then from then to now, when we started in Isro on VAX 11/780, I don't know, VAX VMS, you might have heard that. That was the most powerful system for it, because it's used for dual use. It was not given to India at that time. So we had to get via a different route from France. And that's the first missions what we used in Isro as a regional center for image processing. But this image processing didn't stop there. We had to do decision making. Image processing, you process an image, it classifies, it tells you land use, or it tells you what is the forest, or it tells what is the water or water management, etc. But how do you do a decision making or a risk reduction on any aspect? It can be from reducing the risk for climate change. Today, the latest topic is on climate change. It is affecting everywhere. And Kerala formed an urban commission to see how much of the coast is eroding away, where they have all the cities and towns like Kochi, Trivandrum, or most of the towns are there. And Kerala is going to be 97% urban by 2030. Majority, 97%. Okay, so you can understand the problem. And you are seeing the landslides and other things happening. So they took a stand that how do we make a policy? So that is again with the technology. But we are making what is called risk-informed master plans. So everywhere, the subject what you're studying has an opportunity for implementation. So don't look at, but the good part of it, we don't look at the formats of the data today. Irrespective of any format, we're able to convert them to uniform mode and then process, right? So, but while doing all that, we should know what is the source of the data and where is the error in this data. Because every time, it's not that it's 100% true representation, right? Do you agree? If you don't agree, tell us we don't agree, okay? So we have to be very conscious on what is that limiting factor from which the source of the data is there. It can be even your financial data, external that. So many data sets will be there, which is in the open on which you'll be working with your algorithms and making your machine learning algorithms and deep learning algorithms. But then if there's error which crops in the beginning, it is going to propagate. It will be going higher. And more higher order you go, there are limited ways for you to test. Please understand this. Okay, even in space, what happens is we can test a few things on the design, or we make a prototype. We don't have the full scale model. We put a small scale model, even for wind tunnel test or on the thermo vacuum. So, but only the launch only is the one which gives the actual reality. Okay, so that is the ultimate test. But that entire launch vehicle of 14-storied, you cannot take it for a test. So you also should understand the stream in which you are trying to specialize. You cannot test everything. You can simulate, you can keep doing a lot of iterations, and you try to, means you're working on a statistical world where you're trying to reduce the variance to improve the accuracy. That's one part of working on it. But when you start reducing the variance, there can be some omissions in the data, what should have been actually in this. But how do you address such things which can be important? Because most of the findings in the world, inventions happen on the noise, not on the signal. Okay, we always focus on the signal, but signal has a noise along with. As long as it is an image, it's a taken from space, whatever is it. Because you all heard that on how the imaging takes place. What are the detectors used? Whether all the data from the detector, have we retrieved it? No. Even today, with the best of the algorithms, less than 60% only we are able to retrieve. That means the detectors are able to detect much more than what we are able to recognize. Please understand this. And these are semiconductor-based detectors. In semiconductor-based detectors, there is always a noise which comes in along with the signal. Just fundamentals I'm telling you, okay? So then you will have, that is, if you cryo-cool the semiconductor detectors in space or in any platform what you're doing, we can reduce this noise and improve the signal. There's an ultimate other one called superconducting detectors. These superconducting detectors can detect much more than the semiconductor detectors. That means if you keep an IR detector, if I keep my hand for a few seconds here and take my hand back, even the time has lapsed, but still when you image, we can get the impression of the dermal difference, the dermal gradient we can pick up. That's the beauty of it. That means in a glacier, suppose a troop has walked, but then after that, the troop is not there, not even the footprints. But still you can see the difference in the temperature gradient we can pick up in IR detectors only in superconducting detectors. That is the future. Even you want to see into the space, you want to see about the exoworlds, you will get this detector. So that means the data, what you're thinking, what you're seeing, you may feel, we know this, but it's not so. There is something else hidden in it. So how do you dig it out? Through your algorithms. That is an opportunity for you. Okay, like this, whatever is, more number of data which comes in. So kindly think beyond what is taught in the subject and real applications, what is needed. But then many of you are trying to compete now, right? Are you going to compete? No? Yes. So, but what I'm going to tell is you're not going to compete, provided you understand the gap between the requirement and how we can bridge this gap. What is gap? Why people need technology? That's what you have to question yourself. Where do we need the technology? What is not happening? And we have to understand that ours is a democratic country, and we have 3 levels of administration. One is the federal government, that is the central government, the state government who owns the land, but there's another third administration, level of administration called local bodies. That's panchayats or urban local bodies. So actually they have a lot of money and they can do much more bigger projects, but they're diffused. We always think I need a central government job, okay? But it's not so. Even if you are able to pull up your resources today, the type of money which can come from these sources is a bigger order. So this is not a speech, because I got 5 rupees per hectare from Maharashtra. So the total area, what is there, around 40,000 and odd. So we got almost 20 crores to do a program. Whatever you're seeing your cadasters today, you have a cadastre map, right? How do you know the ownership details? Suppose there's a building is there, in which ownership it is. If you want to find out, there is a maps which used to give the cadastre. These doesn't have coordinates. So you cannot represent them in latitude, longitude. But today you are able to see them on Google, on Bowen, or anywhere. All are corrected to actual real coordinates. So this is again done with what you call today transformers. It has been done with a transformation. These have been transformed with certain control points to a real positions, what it should be. So that's where all the georeference of your entire country today has been covered. But that's a tool which has been developed to make it. But beyond that, now if you want to, because the government is investing into the digital, if you have heard the Prime Minister's speech, we are going to make digital India. So everything is getting digital, but it should be made open to you. Then only you can run your algorithms. As long as the data is not there on what we are going to run our algorithms. Then the second bigger change, what is happening is digital twins. Because in the smart cities or smart villages, which has been announced by the Prime Minister, a lot of IoTs are getting introduced. So that means, what does an IoT consist of? It has a sensing material, right? And there is a communication network which transmits what of the signal which the sensor has made. So we are making gas sensors for Gaganyaan. Young boys and girls like you did Gaganyaan, the gas sensors indigenously, because those sensors were denied by US and Russia to India. They wanted to give their environmental life support system to India. So I challenged with my professors and the students that we can do it in. We asked for 1 year. They said it is not possible. So 6 months is the time what we get. But still Gaganyaan has not gone, but still our sensors are ready. But our bit is not for this Gaganyaan sensors is a one time. It's not a business. So it's not of much interest to you. But the sensors which are there are a daily life. You have to use them. In agriculture, we need methane sensors. Or where the temperature you're using for high, there can be possibility of carbon monoxide. Or we have hydrogen. Wherever you're storing any propellants or which leak, hydrogen we need to sense. Today, what all the sensors which are being used are of no relevance. So please understand, you have to question each and every thing which has been taught to you. That's the first fundamental principle. Even it has been published in life, or sorry, in nature, we need to question. Because in the last 5 years, I found the most of the publications are biased on what they thought it is right. But when the questioning, reasoning and questioning happens, then we find that is not true. There's some much simpler things to do. And that is where you have the business. So then you can control the entire thing on the information transfer. And will it be, even it's a continuously recording information, but how you can make those strings more compact where we can transmit to larger distances. Because you also should look at, though it's 5G, the continuous recording of this information will be expensive if you want to make a real-time data analysis and predictive analysis. So we have another thing called NAVIC. In NAVIC, you have a messaging services. Recently, you must have seen the news that the last satellite launched is not performing what it should have done because of a propellant, which oxygen, which is not coming in the system because of valve failure. But still, we can keep that satellite in an elliptical model, which will be used for messaging services. Today, the fisherman gets the information, and also they can transmit information through a string. That means one command, but it releases into a signal, a string. So intelligently, we can use to transmit some commands, even to a remote locations, like demand-based irrigation scheduling, which is part of smart agriculture. That means we don't have to, even for a paddy crop, you don't have to do a flood irrigation. Exactly the small plant, how much water is needed per day, that much only water will be released. So that you can optimize and large area can bring in. And this is where we have to use your tools of neural networks, etc. That. One example I will tell you, you're all aware of onion, right? Onion. Okay, everyone is afraid of onion because politically, once the government has become unstable. So that's the time we were asked to look at this onion crop. The onion crop is erectostylus. That means whatever sunlight falling on top of it, it doesn't reflect entire thing because leaf is not exposed to the surface. And you are seeing satellites from 400 kilometers to 500 kilometers. At the time, and adjoining you have sugarcane, sunflower, gram. There's another type of crops which are there. And this crop is not like our 3 seasons crop. What are the type of crops which we have here? Kharif, that means the monsoon crop, winter crop, that is Rabi, and we also have a summer crops. But onion starts as early Kharif up to late summer. That means so many times the crop is being taken. So how do you estimate what is the area of it? It's very tricky. If you want someone to estimate for paddy, wheat, like 8 major crops, continuously we are doing it 1 month before the harvest is done, we have the figures of all this. Why we need that figures? Last minute, if you want to import from some other country, it will be very expensive for us. And we have 1.4 billion population. We cannot afford for it. And this is being done for last 30 years on how we can estimate the production of our crops, at least now 8, now it has brought to 11, and how we can make it more effective. But here, all the places, whatever the new tools which you are learning, I cannot call this as a tool. It evolves by itself. That means you have a data, you have an end use. In between, how you can make the network evolve itself to solve a problem is where you are specialized. I'm not going into the details because these all are taught to you. So for this onion crop, at that time we used ANN and also CNN to ensure that in 4 to 5 iterations, we got accuracy of 95%. That's what we achieved, and that is sufficient for at that time. But people today look for 100%. And people also look for predictive. If these fields, this kind of a crop is there, next, if I don't have a data too, can I predict something and tell? It's possible to do. Because we have from 1972 onwards, we have space images. I'll just concentrate on space images. So, and that has a bulk of data. You know what is the bulk of the data? How much is volume which is NRSC has? Petabytes of data. Okay. And any moment you want something in few minutes, less than a minute, you can retrieve the data. Any year back. But that still are not the type of algorithms what you are trained to use. So you're much ahead in learning the techniques which we can use. So these are all the areas because we're going to have a water shortage. and we want to make energy from water. First of all, we don't have water. Please understand these questions because our state wants to go green. First of all, we don't have a pure drinking water, and reverse osmosis is giving us only 80. These are all you have to think. Though your computer science with AI and other techniques and some of your management students, you should understand where is the problem. First, you have to go. Why 80% of the water is getting wasted? Why only 20% we are able to get from the water what we are trying to, from a hard water itself? What is happening to the residue? From the residue, can I retrieve the hydrogen? This is the type of research is happening. Because if you have seen in my profile, I work with also the ocean science and technology. We do a lot of projects. So these membranes are now getting done in India, which can give almost like, because the membrane what is used globally comes only from Singapore. So I advise you all to read Academic Times. There's a journal which comes fortnightly, Academic Times. And once in quarter, they bring out on technology, friends, what is happening in the world. So you have to read that. Okay, that's what is happening technology front. Either it's from China, because we had had China too today. And how did China beat on DeepSeek? They've gone for open source. See, the Western, why you know about Oracle? You learned Oracle? You like Oracle? But I rejected Oracle long back, 20 years back, including the defense projects. As a chairman, as a scientific secretary, I'm a chair for 500 crores worth of the equipment and the machinery where the backend is all this RDBMS is Oracle. I said, without Oracle, if you bring the file, then only file will be cleared. Because I know that Postgres and all can much better job than this. See, somewhere you have to understand and be tough to make a change. But when the bigger the system, they don't want to change because it's working. But we don't know how much of redundancy it is creating, which becomes difficult for us, and we don't need that kind of a systems to handle. That's what happened in ChatGPT and all. So we always fear that something we are going to lose. And we keep on redundancies. The more and more redundancies, the more weight comes in terms of processing. Okay, so that's where I was telling you, understand what is the source. Is there how is the source is the real situation as it is giving to you. So go from that stage, then all your thought process will totally change. And that makes you a lot of difference in, okay. Yeah, don't worry. That's all is not getting flood. It's only small drip which is coming in. Don't get disturbed. See, especially in your field, you have to be very disciplined. When you're focusing, you're focusing. Side, even the flood comes or a tidal wave comes, we should not be bothered about it, okay? See, that's how if you keep your mind focused, then things will be of a much order where you can contribute in the shortest time. But what is the tough time for you is, time is the essence here. How fast we can think and do, and how it makes a parallel process. Even for a computation of a flood risk model, we can do a lot of parallel process. So my suggestion, sir, is kindly team up with certain other applications, which there are in, because you're part of JNTU. What is in civil engineering? What do they do? How do they make structures? Today, in the structures, there's no design. Because most of the big countries, when you see the big buildings and bridges, they're not redesigning a new bridge. Whatever the bridges and buildings are there are a lot of sensors which are built into that. The sensors are continuously giving you data on what is the stress and strain conditions all through the time. That means in the day, in the night, in when there's a peak traffic, no traffic, or people are staying, or there are some trimmers, how did they behave? All data is available to you. On top of it, how you're going to analyze and evolve a new design, which is much more optimized. Because of the optimization, you're going to reduce costs. Because of optimization, we can reduce operations and maintenance. See, operations and maintenance of big installations is the biggest subject. And that's where the people are failing. And this is where you have an opportunity to build. Even in Isro, when we do have on operations and maintenance is the biggest thing. And you know why our satellites live for more than 5 years, which is intended life? Because we know how to manage the health of a satellite. That means what is the temperature, what is the drift of the satellite, how to control this, what is the initial orbit parameters, how we can do it's an authority, and our scientists are much better than this. Here I'll tell you a simple example on the lighter side. See, always it is not technology. It's how do you negotiate and manage things at a higher level. Okay. What is this management higher level means strategic? How do you think? You all heard about 104 satellites? We're all happy. But how did that 1 or 4 satellites happen? See, we have the potential of the technology. We know how to launch, and there are launchers, and our scientists are able to do that. But we also need a client. But here is the catch. All the developed world, what they did is whenever they make a documentation, they insert certain lines in such a way that it gets complex when you when you want to grow. And developing country, when it has to develop, they put a lot of strings in which you cannot get in. One of the strings which has been kept is if any country uses a certain components of the origin of US, you have to go for a second clearance by their internal homeland department if you want to launch. Very difficult state, but that means you have a satellite, but I cannot launch it. So this is where we brought the congressmen, both Republican and Democrats, and I have been given the responsibility. And we are showing every detail of our facilities. That means how the satellites are fabricated, how do we test, everything is shown to them. Anechoic chambers were huge, thermovacs, where we can keep almost like understood what is it? He has asked in front of all the major Isro scientists, young people like you, he asked a question, are you cheap? That's where people are coming to you. Do you like that? Do you like that statement? So I'm happy that your institute is preparing you all how to effectively go for interviews, actually. That this you had to spontaneously tell. So though there may be congressmen of US, and since I'm given the responsibility, I told, no, we are not cheap. And I also started talking to them in singular, telling that you all come to me because we are putting the satellites precisely in a location much better than what you asked. So the fuel on your satellite, you are reducing the uses of it, and the life of the satellite intended for 5 years is going to work for more than 10 years. That's where you're all coming to me, and we are not cheap. We are cost effective. This is a statement which I used, and it is recorded somewhere else. So you should understand the world is not so good. When you want to really develop, because you're still budding, you will get into a job, then you have to start your own startup companies. You might have heard what we spoke there. So this is only a beginning of your journey. In next 2-3 years, each one of you have to think what is the need, and you have a potential because you don't have to invest much. Only investment is only on our ideas. So you have to think differently how to negotiate with people. Okay. So at the end statement, I will tell something else. Now I can request some questions from you, any different subjects, which you can ask, okay, if you feel so, and see that it is not repeated, the question. So I can handle that and then answer to you. Is it okay, sir? Yeah, yeah. Didn't go into any specific technology because your Dean R&D has mentioned certain things.
That is the right person for you to give those things. Go to all the students. Can you share them?
Hi, sir. So myself, Anand. I'm from CSD third year. So, how is the how can we improve the communication or coordination with the satellites? And when can we automate the satellite function with machine learning, sir? Yes. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Hello, sir. I'm Akshay, currently pursuing my third year in the branch of artificial intelligence. So my question to you is, sir, in this modern world, we observe many emerging technologies which are entirely covering up making the work easier. So according to you, how can AI ML or AIDS, whatever technology it may be, how can you think that it can, the implementation could be more effective in the research centers.
Okay. Yes. Something weight is on the right side. On the left also, let us balance. है ना? Yeah.
Hello. So, sir, I'm Vaishnavi. I have noticed you worked in NRSC, IIRS, CSSTAP, and in all of this, you were in leadership positions. So, how did you manage to get into those positions?
Okay. Fine, Amma. Thank you. Yes. Yes. That lady there, I would like to.
Good evening, sir. My name is Rupa, and I would like to ask the question that you have done as a project director, also as a research scholar, and also a professor. Apart from all this, as a project director, you done many projects. What is the toughest situation you have handled in that projects?
Yeah. Okay, good. There is a good mix of. You want one more question? Yeah, please. Yeah, okay, I'll answer you. I got it. Yeah.
Hello. Good evening, sir. It's an honor to have you here today. So my question is not related to remote sensing, but so how do you see an Indian startup building moon or Mars rovers and sending them to moon, Mars and beyond? So what is the scope in India? How India, government of India and Isro support this? So thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay, let me start with. Okay, anyway, I'll stop here because there are sufficient questions, है and this is the beginning for us. And today we are connected with the webinars. Okay, any topic which subsequently comes, we can get connected because this is the first opportunity for me to come and see your institute and some of your students. Now coming to this automation of satellites. That's the first question, right? Yeah. So here, all the satellites, whenever you are keeping in an orbit, it has to be as precise as possible because that orbital period has to be determined. If it is an Earth observation satellite, we should know very correctly at that location when it is, because these are all called polar orbiting satellites. So they go through the pole and then they collect the data and then transmit the data also. It's not collecting the data and transmitting the data. So I'll tell you one which you will understand. When the data is very fine granularity, you call data granularity, we call it resolution. Okay. If the finer the resolution, the volume of the data will be such higher. And when the satellite, the Earth is moving, and the satellite is also moving at 7 kilometers per second, you will have only less than 10 minutes to receive the data in the equatorial region. But in the pole, we have more time because in the pole, all the satellites will converge and we'll have more time anywhere in the world. So we have a station in Antarctica. And in Antarctica, we have a facility where, to motivate you to tell, there are some of my girls, scientists also, for almost 8 months, there is no way we can bring them back. It's not only for Sunita Williams. On land also, on earth also it happens. They had to be there. So they had to be physically fit in that harsh conditions to work. This is a side story of what we there. But then this high resolution data, when we talk about 1 meter, and that you want to see in colors. So we need to do it on multispectral. So some of the data will be downloaded when it comes to at Shadnagar in NRSC, then it goes to Antarctica. So the other dump comes. Then both within no time becomes one, because there's a communication satellite which transmits the satellite. We will depend upon Intelsat and then how to merge. These are all the communication about the boot. But all these streams has to be automated. Everything is automatic. There's nothing human interference anywhere. Even the scheduling of the antenna to the location which you see, because there's 28, almost 28 satellites is what we keep on not only tracking, but we get the information from them. We send commands, and certain times the specific commands will come. Suppose for the strategic use, you have to exactly look at a western corridor or eastern corridor and exactly tell what is happening in that. These satellites are made today in a very in a multifarious way, which is not published. And some of these satellites, stay at the same location for more time for certain reasons. You have heard about strategy, what is that? We hit some points in the Western corridor when some things are happening from the other side of the border. So that happened because in the building, when if you want to have a stereo, we need two cameras and use the principle of parallax to get it. But we also can do the stereo while the satellite moves, the Earth moves, but the Earth is also moving. So we can create at the same time, looking at a stair, there's a time lapse, we can build also the 3D. That means even a single person moves and goes into the house, we can pick it up. But this analytics of it is not, there's a lot of possibility for you to use those tools to bring to much better order. Data is there, but how do you analyze this data? That means someone comes and goes. That small change, how do you make it out in the granularity, and in the even less granularity, how you can bring it? That means even less resolution, how we can bring it. This is the challenge. Because today what we call about super resolution. That means you have a lower resolution, lower granularity, you can bring it to a better granularity based on the tools. So now we are talking about a few satellites, but there's another company has launched Planet Labs. He has almost like 300 satellites moving across the country. He will give the data every day. He does a lot of manipulations on the data, which is not known to people because we are closely examined, we have seen. But how does he control all these satellites? Everything is fully automated, including Starlink satellites. So we know its location, and each satellite tends to drift. Okay, when it is drifting, we put certain propellant to fire it back in a reverse direction, so it has to come. It does automatically. You don't have to do anything today. That fires, comes back to it. If it doesn't come, because of the drag, it will come to the Earth's atmosphere and it will have its death. Or because of the solar flares, quite a few of these low Earth orbiting satellites, suddenly they came into the Earth's atmosphere, and the big companies have lost their satellites. So this is a big business. Okay. And automation is very important, but it is still evolving. You have a lot of scope in that to improve upon. So your thinking process will definitely help such. So look at where things failed and how we can make it effective. That's where we can start with. Some places the data is published, certain times is not published. And some of your hackathons, you can work on this and tell these are the topics. You may not have you may have an idea to work, but the data is not there on which you can do, but still you ask this. So it's going to come to us. Then other part is the government has made all this data open. Now the space is a private, anyone can play. So previously it was only restricted for only the national organizations to do. So today we have Skyroot, Pixel for the satellites. There are many companies. Okay, and also the companies who are working on crop insurance. Saksure, he is an alumni of IAST, but he is now trying to make a satellite for himself. Someone is working on hyperspectral imager. That means you'll have, in one shot, we take 256, more than 256 images from visible to IR. Or we are looking at the ocean and trying to tell about the fish, where it is located, right? But even when you go into the ocean, we cannot see the fish. Can we? Because the Rayleigh scattering will be there. So how do we come out of that and still take the signature, which tells us the feed for the fish is located there? Or the sea surface temperature, which gives the comfort zone for the ecosystem where that fish, what is called school of fish, will be available for us. So these are all the things which are today going automatically, but there are still a lot of gaps in each one where we have to optimize. So this is where you have a opportunity, but these are all controlled. We have a full control on the things much before the launch. Everything is there. It cannot deviate. If it deviates a little also, that's a failed mission. It's not a successful mission. There are missions which the satellite has gone up, but the data what is trying to transmit, we are not able to receive it. That means the compression technique failed. Then also say satellite is a failure, right? Satellite is there up healthy, but is not able to communicate with the data what is it. So these kind of complexities can happen. And entire system of the satellite manufacturing itself, now the youngsters are bringing in a very good where they are using machine learning algorithms to make it much, much simpler. That means they're working on the statistically, what is the probability of something fails? If not, so what? What is the sample size people have taken earlier? Okay, what is the skewness in the data? Okay, but then that you have to bring it into networks, neural networks, and then try to iteratively see how it will evolve by itself. Okay, so these are the type of opportunities which you do have. Then coming to the AI and emerging technologies, yes, as I told you, yes, we are all emerging. But AI, computational side, we did extensively well in the country because we have a large country. Why I'm telling large country is what you see in the Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, even if you take an image or the language which they speak, or when you tell, I don't know whether how many of you know about a village when you tell, there is also called, because I'll use Maharashtra because I worked in Maharashtra. So there's what is called Budruk and Kurd. ఇక్కడ కూడా మనకు ఉంటుందండి విలేజ్ ఇంకోటి ఏదో దాన్ని ఏమంటారు తెలుగులో నాకు రావట్లేదా టండా ఓకే మీకు తెలుసా ఇది నానా మనం ఇందులో వెళ్ళాలంటే ఇవన్నీ తెలుసుకోవాలి ఏంటి తెలుసుకోవాలి జనరల్ నాలెడ్జ్ తెలుసుకోవాలి మన ఊరేంటి మన ఊర్లోనే ఇక్కడ మనం ఉన్నాము కానీ దాన్ని కూడా అదే అంటారు ఏంటి అది దూరంగా ఎందుకు ఉన్నది ఉంటుంది కదా సో దాన్ని హ్యామ్లెట్ అంటారు దీన్ని విలేజ్ అంటారు ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఓకే ద రీజన్ ఈజ్ వెన్ యూర్ వర్కింగ్ సర్టన్ మోడల్స్ ఆన్ సెంట్రాయిడ్ బేసిస్ అండ్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు రిప్రజెంట్ ఫర్ ఎ విలేజ్ విచ్ హ్యాస్ అ బౌండరీ బట్ ద డేటా ఈస్ కమింగ్ ఓన్లీ ఫ్రమ్ ది విలేజ్ లొకేషన్ ఎందుకంటే మన పాపులేషన్ అంతా ఎక్కడ ఉంటుంది విలేజ్లోనే ఉంటుంది కదా బట్ వీఆర్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ విలేజ్ విచ్ హ్యాస్ అ స్పేషియల్ బౌండరీ విచ్ ఇస్ హ్యావింగ్ సమ్ 500 hectares. So if you want to differentiate between these two, how do you represent your data? Okay, this is an art of its own. Well, a simple thing is you take a centroid or move the centroid location to the village. But that doesn't rest because the village already is progressing on all directions. The village is growing. కదా వెళ్తున్నది కదా అర్థమవుతుంది కదా నేను చెప్పేది బ్రాడ్గా సో ఈ ఆలోచించాలి మనం ఎప్పుడైనా కూడా ఏదైనా ఒక టూల్ అందులో ఏ టైప్ ఆఫ్ టూల్స్లో మనం ఇంకా జాగ్రత్తగా ఆలోచించాలి ఎందుకంటే టక్ మన వేయగానే దానికి అదే ఎవాల్వ్ అయిపోతున్నది అల్గోరిథం సో దట్ మీన్స్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ సీడ్ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్ ఈస్ రాంగ్ then what is evolving can go extremely wrong, exponentially wrong. But it looks beautiful. See, it looks beautiful on the machine. Something changed. But how far it is from reality is a difficult thing to look at. Because I was telling you on digital twins. Please think about, you're all familiar with AR and VR, correct? But the next is digital twins in which from the IoTs, continuously the data is coming regarding the reality, but is just a point source, how we are trying to recreate into the total environment and how you are redesigning by itself. If something change is coming, what has been impact, how we can make a less risky thing in the entire model. Even for human body, we can make a digital twin with the data what is there with us, with the CT scan, whatever, and also the, if you have a continuous, you have a watch is continuously giving input. So when it's going in, and you can really assess the human body at a different, that means individually. Same thing you can do for a building. But same thing we can planning now for a digital twin for major cities like Cochin, because there's a lot of floods happening, population is increasing, a lot of infrastructure is coming. So these are all people are speaking. Government is investing a lot of money into smart villages and smart cities. Please understand what is the smart city. Go to the CEO and ask, what is that we wanted to do? So they failed miserably in many places. Where did they fail? Take that topic. And one topic you start working on reverse. It may not happen in one term of your project work. See, this type of small satellites launched in IAST are not done by one set of students, but like a baton. We have a basic document, what we want to do, and each one shares, they go away, the next batch comes, but still the satellites went up and are performing extremely well. It's possible to do in the shortest time. 3 years, 4 years, and that too with international collaboration. We had a collaboration from US, Germany, and Taiwan, but still things work. So please don't think that we alone have to do. We have to collaborate with people. I also understand you have a collaboration with IIT, actually that. So these emerging technologies are very effective. Ease of doing business, that is where we are trying to claim. Globally, the world assess you on how compliant you are on the sustainable development goals. You should understand what are the 17 sustainable development goals about no poverty, best health. There are quite a few, 17. Just go into the website and Google. In that each one area, you have an opportunity to do something. Okay, please look from that. That is a big business. And that the government is hell-bent. If someone of you are giving you solutions, they are ready to work with you. Then coming to the leadership, okay. Both are the first question actually that. See, many a time, I will, in the last few sentences which I'm going to conclude, I will tell you that when sir tells me that my time is over for today here. See, anytime you're given an opportunity, provided you're looking in beyond your subject. You have to look, you're specialized, but make your horizon a little broader. I'm basically an chemistry mains in BSc, then earth sciences in MSc, data management PhD from geoengineering. Then I joined in Isro. As a scientific secretary, I should know about propulsion, how to manage a satellite, which launch vehicle will go, which satellite will go with which launch vehicle. I'm part of entire thing with all the Isro centers. So that means you're not what you studied. How you can broaden your sphere. That's what you have to keep thinking always. That's where in the afternoon also I was telling you, good, you're all good, good beginning, but you have a potential for the way. Why I've suggested here? Because you have the potential and there are so many opportunities outside. So you can directly link and become a startup companies because you don't have to invest a lot of money. And all government machinery has asked, means IIT, IIST, if you want to go and work on their missions, they have to give you a slot exactly when you have to use and they have to tell these are the charges. That's it. Please don't hesitate. Keep tapping. If it doesn't happen, there are some other higher up, you can scale it up. I'll tell your honorable principal what to do. But all this, toughest means I had a lot of tough situations. So the question what someone asked me, I told you previously, it was a tough situation for me. Because my country is at stake. Someone is calling me on my country that we are cheap. That's not easy thing. Or certain times, they're all IAS officers who are cabinet secretary, foreign secretary, and finance secretary, government of India. Even you cannot talk to them at parallel. There's a proposal which you have to cut down the cost, where we had to keep in Vietnam called ASEAN. That is strategically important because of the South China Sea, etc. Like that. How do we cut that? A decision to be taken within 15 minutes in front of all this, where that has gone for the last few years in trimming the budget. It's a tough question. The last few sentences which I'll be telling, if that you follow, this will never be tough any time in life. But most important is someone has to support you. అంతే కదా ఎంత కష్టపడి ఇంటికి వెళ్ళినప్పుడు కూడా మనకు ఎవరో బొవ్వ పెట్టాలి కదా ఈవెన్ పప్పు అన్నం పెడితే నెయ్యి వేసి వీల్ ఫీల్ హ్యాపీ కరెక్ట్ బికాస్ సిస్టమ్ హ్యాస్ టు ఫీల్ హ్యాపీ దెన్ వీ కెన్ థింక్ సో మోస్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ లైఫ్ ఈజ్ సపోర్ట్ సిస్టమ్ ఫ్రమ్ యువర్ ఫ్యామిలీ దట్ మీన్స్ యువర్ బెటర్ హాఫ్ and also your children. Everyone has to support. All children will also have demands. For me, luckily, I got everything, including my children supported if I didn't make their birthday on the same day. Okay, they adjusted. If any day we can celebrate our birthday. Okay, so, but how do you get that support? I will tell you the technique. So, project director means he has to do a certain mission with the identified goals. Like Chandrayaan is a mission, or Mars orbiter has a mission. That means we'll start when it has to start and when it has to end, when all the data will come, entire till all the data of life, where it will go, how it will happen, how people will use, this is all determined. So everything is set. How do you perform? How do you do? How do you spend your money? How do you do the budgeting? And you have to do with L1, everyone claims, no, in government nothing works, but that's not true. If your specifications are clear, what is happening globally, we can make it much, much bigger. And I have to my credentials that if the budget today is 30 crores, I built it to 80 crores in IARS. In NRSC, 300 crores, I made it to 650 crores and spent every penny. So it's possible to do because such organizations, if they don't spend money, where you all will get opportunities because they're all emerging areas of technology. So how to think future and how to make infrastructure, that is also very tough to think and implement, means execute all this. There are tools in how this thing, but we don't use this kind of AI type of tools, okay? You have also opportunity there. How to optimize, which one has to go, who is doing. We did it in a similar way as a computational, but we didn't use as a data centric related analysis. And of course, no one will share the data with you. Yeah, Mars rover. See, these Mars rover type of machines you can make as a startup, but you also should see where are the spin-offs for this. Because that will not become a business to you. Because once in a time it is going. We cannot do unless you have a lot of money, like Elon Musk. Okay. Then we can invest and then see how things are happening, or Tatas, or everyone can do. But most of the people like Adanis and all will look at how, if I invest something, how you get money immediately. So you have to look for spin-offs. That's where I was telling you in Gaganyaan, these gas sensors is a huge business. Today, almost like 100% cost, you can bring it down in the sensors, including IoTs. Because they're not functioning as IoTs also. The hydrogen sensor, I'll tell you one example. They keep it a distance of 1 meter. The reason is, any sensing material, you have to excite it. You do it with thermal. Okay. If I put a thermal and I put in placing hydrogen is escaping there as a gas, it can catch fire first. So they tell you, keep it in 1 meter difference. So that's where we had to go to the field. Means anyone tells something, first we should understand basics of it. What is the problem? Or else everyone tell, kaisa hai? Everything is good. Because they're having big money and they're getting from imported instruments, their work is going on. But if you want to change them, you have to really think that. So the hydrogen sensor, what is meant for Gaganyaan mission, now we are putting in Isro propellants wherever it is, where you can keep with a light excitation, one small frequency of light, but still it is with an IoT. So it gives the transmission of the data, and on your mobile every day you get an information that how is the environment in and around. But that is also not fully done. There also you have an opportunity to work. Okay, because I know where are the gaps in which we can fill in. And that you need plenty. Ordnance factories elsewhere across the country. And this has a shelf life, the sensor. Okay, how do you change? So you have to think not only on the data, but what is the data generator? If you team up with those data generators, then you are the unbeatable business. Only on the data, when you're working, many people working parallelly across the globe. At one point of time, you're going to clash in competition. So that's where you have to look into that part. So Mars rover, that means the Mars atmosphere is different. Moon doesn't have any atmosphere at all. That's where it was tough for us for the lander, because we are not able to. And on the lander, the third Chandrayaan 3, lot of ML and deep learning techniques has been used, because you're all seen it is hovering at a point and it doesn't know where exactly to land. We have made a precise estimation. So it is making exactly to decide that it got the full control, whether I keep my step here or there, because we don't want much of dust and we don't want much of inclination angle. So its image also is incorporated. So it was using the image, but that needs bigger vehicle, more money. Please understand, our country doesn't have that kind of a money. Okay, don't think that Elon Musk type of thing we can also do in the country. Even they also are unable to do. They're not able to bring back Sunita Williams and other this thing. There are reasons for all that. So that's where it is. Now coming to, you all should understand, catch up the words. First, you all got an opportunity. Very few people get an opportunity like you to study in institutes like KIET, right? You agree? So try to catch up the first word which I'm using. So best thing is you have to observe teachers, what they're telling, what is there in the books, what others are discussing. This observation is most important in life. Yes, use your mobile, use your things, but you should keep some time to observe why that bamboo is bending, the other side, why it is straight. Please understand there's a difference between these two. Unless we understand nature, we cannot build better things. Okay, we are also trying to understand from Drosophila for sending into space how we can cure kidney diseases much faster. We're making early detection of cancer. We're also part of this ISRO-related programs. Okay, so the observation is the most important. Then what comes after we observe? What we do? We should have the will to understand. Please understand, will to understand. And then well understand. Whatever the will, we have to well understand that. Well understand means, You have to understand deeply inside, because of perceptions at that time to tomorrow will be different. Please understand. So this is an evolving process like your neural nets. Okay? RNN. Okay? It will go like that. So, and the third one is, if you do that, then the third one is networking. We need to network. Even ISRO like organization, no one person can do anything. If I tell I did everything, all that, that's hypocrisy. We need a team of thinkers. We need a team of doers, because someone has to fabricate with their hands finally if something has to happen. Please understand, this is networking. Here, what you network with your professors, network outside, and all the thing. And most importantly, you need to negotiate. Nothing comes to you in a platter. How do you negotiate with your mother? How do you negotiate with your father, your teacher, your guru, whoever is there? You have to keep negotiating. Understand the way we negotiate. మనకి టెంపరమెంట్ ఉండొచ్చు, కానీ మనకి ఏదైనా పర్పస్ ఉన్నదంటే దానికి వీ హ్యావ్ టు నెగోషియేట్ విత్ ఎవ్రీథింగ్, ఇంక్లూడింగ్ మై బెటర్ హాఫ్ ఆర్ విత్ మై చిల్డ్రన్. ఈ సేమ్ ఫర్ యూ ఆల్సో. వీ నీడ్ టు నెగోషియేట్ అండ్ మేక్ దెమ్ అండర్స్టాండ్ ది ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఆఫ్ వాట్ వీఆర్ డూయింగ్. దెన్ కమ్స్, ఎన్ని చేసేటప్పటికి మనం అలసిపోతామా? అట్ దట్ టైమ్ ఆల్సో యూ నీడ్ టు హ్యావ్ ది అర్జ్. బెల్లిలో అర్జ్ ఉండాలి. బెల్లిలో అది లేకపోతే దెబ్బతింటాం మనం. నేను చేసేటప్పటికి మనం ఇది కాదంటాడు, అదంటాడు, ఇది అంటాడు. సో మెనీ థింగ్స్ విల్ హ్యాపెన్. బట్ యూ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ ది అర్జ్. దట్ ఫైర్ షుడ్ బి దేర్. దెన్ కమ్స్, వెల్ డూయింగ్ ఆల్ దిస్ లైక్ యువర్ neural nets, know how to evolve, the purpose of your life, it will keep changing. What you thought initially purpose, I should study, I should get a job. Later on, your purpose of life will be keep changing. No, I came onto this earth for a different purpose. I have something bigger to do. And we realize this purpose, all other things, what you think is difficulty, will become easy. అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఒక చోట అటువైపు ఏమవుతుందో తెలియదు డిస్కషను, ఇక్కడ ఉంటాం మనము, కానీ లోపలికి అక్కడికి వెళ్ళగానే డిస్కషన్ రూమ్లో ఎవ్రీథింగ్ విల్ బి ఫాల్ ఇన్ పార్ట్ ఫర్ యూ యాజ్ ఇఫ్ ది వే యూ వాంటెడ్. ద అన్సర్టనిటీ is solved. Because speaking to people is the most difficult thing. Negotiating with IAS people, administrators is most difficult. You can impress upon the elected representatives. Even Pradhan Mantri గారితో కూడా నేను చాలాసార్లు మాట్లాడాను, okay, as a scientific secretary. But to tell him is much easier than telling to the administrator. Please understand that. So we should be very clear, the purpose is important. For that, then you have to develop the patience and perseverance. If you're doing all that, then you will be a blessed person. Whatever toughest job, you just walk in, you will find, or whatever you're doing on a machine, and many a time Murphy's law work. Finally, anta అయిపోతుంది. కరెక్ట్గా డెమాన్స్ట్రేట్ చేసిన అన్ని ఫెయిల్ అవుతుంటాయి, ఇంక్లూడింగ్ పవర్ విల్ ఫెయిల్. ఈవెన్ సమ్ షార్ట్ సర్క్యూట్, వన్ మిషన్ విల్ బి గాన్, బట్ స్టిల్ హౌ యూ విల్ పర్ఫార్మ్. దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ థింగ్స్ విల్ హ్యాపెన్. దానికి సొల్యూషన్ వచ్చేస్తుంటాయి. అక్కడ ట్రైబల్ జగదల్పూర్ అని ఛత్తీస్గఢ్లో ఉన్నదండి, అక్కడ అక్కడ ఇదే ఉండదు. అక్కడ ట్రైబల్ లేడీ తోటి వీ హ్యావ్ టు షో హౌ షీ విల్ గెట్ హర్ ల్యాండ్ ప్రాపర్టీ డీటెయిల్స్ ఆన్ విత్ హర్ వాట్ ఎవర్ సింబల్, బికాస్ షీ డజంట్ రీడ్, షీ ఓన్లీ సింబాల్స్ ఆర్ దేర్. సో హౌ షీ వర్క్ అండ్ హ్యాస్ టు గెట్ అది ఫైర్ తోటి అయిపోయినా కూడా హౌ డు యూ డూ దాట్? there's a solution. That's what I'm telling. The toughest thing when you ask, I have many things like that, but finally when you see that things will happen. So now you sum up all the alphabets which I told you. O for opportunities and observation. Will to understand. Nadu marchipoyam మనం. Will and well to understand. Okay? Tarvata? Networking and negotiating. So even the own. Urge. P. Own up. See, for your life, you only have to own up. Not your parents, not your teachers, not your friends. It's you. You all alone in the life. Please understand that. You have to finally own up. That means you have to prepare yourself for that. Okay. Good luck to you. What I will do is one presentation as a PDF, I'll share with your principal. That tells on satellites what are the roles which are there, and on applications what the country is looking for. You raise your questions, and certain level we can have an interaction. This is what is the ideas I have. Okay, if you bring in, I will try to advise continuously to at a one predetermined time. We'll take it and take it forward, because the time is short, but I can see the patience which you are all having, and good luck to all of you, and you have a great future. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for valuable words. As we come to the end of this session, I take an opportunity to thank our guest of honor for his invaluable insights and Sureka ma'am and other dignitaries for your presence. So with that, I conclude the today's session. Wishing you an inspiring journey ahead. Thank you so much. Have a great day.